Welcome back to Distorted Opinions. I'm Kayla, and I'm joined by Matt and Ted, and we haven't done a gear talk in a while. In fact, I think we missed one in December, so we thought we would do a gear talk now.
It happens.
Yeah, it does. I mean, we had a lot of stuff to cover in the closure of 2020, but it's a new year. What better way at the beginning of the year than to talk about our first guitars, where we got started in playing guitar. And so we're going to chat about that a little bit today. And if you're watching the video version, you can see we all still have our original guitars and we have them with us for this episode. And so I'm going to go ahead and start because I know I don't have a whole lot, but this is and actually this is not my first guitar. If you've listened to previous episodes. Guitar? Well, my first guitar was the Yamaha acoustic, which we talked about in the acoustic episode, and yes. I may or may not still have that somewhere, but I don't know really enough about it that I even could have talked about it, and in all honesty, this is pretty much my first guitar. This is my first electric guitar.
We can change the episode. It'll be our first electric guitars, because that's what we have in front of us here.
First electric.
All right, we'll go with that. So this is my first electric guitar. This is a Dan Electro U2. It's a reissue in Blue Burst, and I don't really remember actually what year I got this, and I was trying to figure it out based off the serial number, thanks to our episode on shady manufacturing processes, where Ted talked about determining the date of a guitar's manufacture based off of the serial number. Unfortunately, from what I could find, apparently the serial numbers on these reissues are pretty much useless for determining that, which is really unfortunate. Not to mention, it's just a little sticker that you probably can't see very well.
Sticker serial number? Yeah, it's not even
anybody could just, like, take that off of there. I mean, I am the only owner of this guitar, so the sticker's still on there. I wouldn't want to take it off of there, but if you were buying one used, there's a chance that somebody may have removed it at some point.
So what you do is, because you want to have the first release, you take a new sticker, write number 1, and slap it on the back.
Yep.
That won't look odd at all.
It's already a sticker serial number. It's fine.
And it's really, there's like no real information as to how to even distinguish the manufacture date off of the serial number. So even if you put a sticker on there that said 1, there's nothing that really guarantees that would have necessarily meant that it was the first one manufactured.
Just brand it.
Yeah.
Just brand it with the number 1.
There we go. So we'll pretend this was the first one in the series for this episode. It is a little bit dirty. It's been in the case for a while now, and I didn't apparently wipe it down before putting it back into the case last time. But this is like I said, a reissue. The headstock is what they call the Coke bottle style, and in the originals, that would have meant that this would have been manufactured sometime between 1955 and 1969. I can be relatively sure that I bought this probably in about 1998 or 1999. And I remember I saved up all of my babysitting money to be able to buy this thing. And at the time, it seemed like it was big bucks to me.
How much was it?
Sure. I think I probably paid about $250 or $300 for it. And actually, they still make these, not in this color. Apparently, this color is kind of hard to come by now. But I found one that Sweetwater had listed, not in stock, but they're apparently getting more in black. And they're asking about $500 for them now. And I'm pretty sure I didn't pay $500 for this when I bought it. That would have been, like, big money for me.
Double the amount of babysitting money.
I was in like 5th or 6th grade when I got this, so that would have been a lot of money for me at the time. It dropped.
Yeah. I was going to say, even in high school, I remember when we used to all hang out at your house, and that guitar would be in the corner. And I remember that guitar. It's plasticky. It's hollow. Is it super light? Is it not even?
It's a semi-hollow body.
Semi-hollow? Okay.
It's made of pine, which is why it's light and inexpensive. The neck is apparently maple. The fretboard is rosewood. But they're not super high-end guitars. They were actually, the originals were manufactured for Sears. And it was Dan Electro and Silvertone guitars. So, this was something that back in the day you could have ordered out of a catalog from Sears. But it's a cool looking guitar. As a first guitar, I remember seeing this at the time, because we're talking late 90s. So I don't know that Guitar Center really had a website that you could go look at guitars on, but I'm pretty sure I got a catalog or a flyer or something in the mail for one of their sales, and they had this listed, and I pretty much decided, like, that's the guitar that I want. I thought it was cool looking. I liked the colors. I saved my money. I went down to Guitar Center in Natick, and at the time it was Gleno was one of the guys working there.
Oh, Gleno, yep.
Gleno, yeah, you know Gleno?
Yep. Gleno, if you hear this, shout out to you, man.
That's right. First electric guitar I bought from Gleno.
I don't even know how many sales I went through with that guy.
Yeah.
Over in the Natick store.
Natick, I spent a lot of time at that Guitar Center through middle school and high school, and bought
Their selection was so good.
It was, and I had spent so much time in there. I knew all of the sales guys, like, on a first name basis. They knew my dad and I would go in there together. They always came out to chat with us when we were there. Bought this from Gleno, and then the guitars that I purchased after this one, I ended up buying from Bob Smith, who, I don't know if you guys ever met Bob when he was there, but Bob, in my opinion, was one of the best sales guys, and I don't mean for this to turn into an ad for Guitar Center, but he was one of the best sales guys.
They kind of need it. They're going bankrupt.
I know. Well, and I'll tell you why, because they let go of people like Bob Smith. And I remember, actually, when the first time my dad and I went in and we were looking for Bob, because we had bought many a guitar from him, and it was one of those deals where, Matt, you probably had a similar experience. I know how your dad is with buying guitars, but my dad and I would go in together, and we'd always walk out with two guitars, one for him and one for me. So we only really went in there when we were serious about looking to buy a guitar, because we were walking out with one. And we bought many a guitar from Bob Smith, and one of the things I really liked about Bob was that he wasn't pushy. He would ask you what you were interested in. If you had like 5 guitars you were thinking about trying out, he would get them all down, he'd tune them up, he'd set you up, he'd go away for like an hour, he'd come back, ask you how it was going, and without fail, usually we'd each have picked out what we wanted to get, and went on our merry way. And we went in one day and Bob wasn't there, and we asked about him, and they said, well, we have a new manager who wants us to have more of a used car salesman approach to selling guitars, and that's not Bob's style, and Bob left. And I was like, well, that is really Guitar Center's loss, because I think Bob probably sold a lot of guitars because of the fact that he didn't use the used car salesman approach, and he was, I think, their regional sales rep for a number of years. So, the fact that why mess with a good thing? You got a knowledgeable guitar guy who's not pushy. He sells a lot of guitars without being pushy, and people like him. I just don't understand why mess with that. But anyway, we were really disappointed.
Look at the outcome now. I mean, hey, what goes around comes around. I hate to say
Exactly. And so, it's really unfortunate. We used to spend a lot of time at Guitar Center. We, like I said, bought a lot of guitars from them, largely through Bob. And but we also knew Gleno and a lot of the other guys who worked there at the time. And unfortunately, after Bob left, a lot of them seem to have either left or been let go. I'm not really sure what the circumstances were, but anyway, that's digressed into a totally different topic entirely, but suffice to say, I bought this at Guitar Center about 98 or 99, and if you've listened to any of our previous shows, you know the style of music that I like to play. This is not a guitar that really is designed for that style of music, but again, I thought it was a cool guitar, and I really liked it, so I bought it. It's got lipstick pickups. The These are really more for like a rockabilly surf guitar kind of sound.
And so if you're not familiar with a lipstick pickup, it's a single coil
Right.
with a brass...
Like a tube.
Almost like a single
Looks
tube.
like a lipstick tube.
Yep.
Right.
Because that's
Very
what they
thin.
were made out of originally. They were actually made out of lipstick tubes. Now, obviously, the more modern, like, reissues, they don't really use a lipstick tube, but they still have that look to them, and it's unique to Dan Electro's. I don't think there's a lot of other guitars out there that have lipstick pickups unless somebody put them in aftermarket. In fact, there was something I had read online about the size of the originals were too big if somebody was, I guess people used to try to put them into Strats, and they wouldn't fit because they were a bigger size than the standard single coil pickup that you would have in a Strat. But I guess now they make some that are more custom sized that you could do that if you wanted to. So,
For those that are not familiar with the lipstick pickups, the neck pickup comes in magenta, and the bridge pickup comes in blush.
No, he's making a joke.
I'm making a joke, and
would
if
be
anyone really
something.
thought that serious, we might have to have a side conversation.
I mean, if they're not watching the show,
I know. I
and
feel
they
like this
don't
is a
know,
very
they might.
visual required. So I'm like,
it is.
how else can we describe this for everyone that's not?
they're like rounded, look like a chapstick tube pickups. They're silver. Yeah, no, they don't come in. I mean, maybe they come in different colors.
Maybe
if you buy
underneath it, it's got a
custom,
silver
but-
cover on it. You don't know what's underneath.
Never know.
Yeah,
Have to take it
true.
apart.
Yeah, maybe. So, but anyway, so that's pretty much it for my guitar. It's like I said, it wasn't a real expensive guitar, but at the time, I definitely felt like I was dropping a pretty big investment on this thing, and I still have it. I haven't played it in years, but now that it's out of the case and I've dug it out of storage, I'm probably going to plug it in tonight just to see how it sounds. The strings haven't been changed in at least 20 years, so I'm sure it's going to sound just lovely. So anyway, that is my first electric guitar, the Dan Electro U2. And
Nice.
if you have seen any of the previous shows in the video version, I got a theme going on here. Not intentional. Pretty much all of my guitars are blue, and my Parker is the same kind of like blue burst color, except for it's more of a white, and this is, believe it or not, it
cream.
actually was kind of this cream color. It's not just age, but I think the pick guard did yellow a little bit because I'm pretty sure that was clear when I bought it, but it's like 25 years old at this point. So, and it largely did not stay in a case through high school, as Matt and Ted could attest. It
was out in the
Ted
corner.
Was mentioned, used to sit in the corner on an amp, and
Yep,
yeah, not the
Had a
greatest.
few
place to
jam
start a
sessions
guitar.
on that guitar alone.
that's right.
I probably got video, somewhere of this being played. A bad rendition of Saint Anger, I believe I found recently.
The best album in the world.
Oh no.
We're not touching that again.
So I think Matt, you should go next here because you had you had a guitar before I did, and when we were looking together to put together our garage bands, you already had a Strat edition, I should say, not even a real one, and then obviously you have a different one in your hands now. So curious.
Curious to see where
Tee
we're
this
going.
up before I get to mine.
Indeed. So yeah, in for those that have listened to the previous show, for those that also know the history and or personal friends of Ted, I, and Kayla and whatnot, we're this show already has been established with over 20 years of friendship, 20 years of musicianship, et cetera, et cetera. And Ted's right. The first guitar, when we were younglings and whatnot, it was actually the Strat that my father bought for my sister, who actually started the guitar off before me, and then she decided to say, hey, screw this, it's not for me. I picked it up, and actually Ted has a photo of us with that black guitar. Well, needless to say, we grew up, Ted and I, became, best friends, and then we decided to say, hey, we're going to start this band. And then this puppy came along, and this and we'll feature some, photos and whatnot. In Ted's
To fish them out again.
We have to fish him out again and whatnot. But this guitar right here, this is a 1998 Fender Strat Deluxe, also known as a Super Strat. And it comes in two variations. It comes in white, and it also comes in honey blonde. And this is the honey blonde version. What's unique about this Strat right here is that it's got a kill switch. It's got a kill switch right here, and push switch. And what this is unique is with Strats, there's 5 different positions. You have excuse me, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. 1 for the bridge pickup, 2 for the bridge and the middle pickup. The third is just the middle pickup. The fourth is the middle and the neck pickup, and then the fifth is just the neck pickup. But if you were to be in the fourth or the fifth position, which is either one of these, and you push this switch button right here, it activates the bridge, so you don't have to switch off your toggle. So that's what's pretty unique about. It
activates the bridge pickup in addition to, or switches between.
In addition to the
it just adds that all at once.
So you could add all 3 if you want to.
Oh, nice.
So typically with bridge pickups in Strats, they're a little more trebly. And with my type of tone, I like that treble notch. So when we formed our band 5 Amp Fuse, I wanted to find a guitar that was very unique to both, the pop punk, the pop punk genre that we're looking into. And also a little bit of a rocker edge, and plus that the classic vibe too. So anything that was between, Doobie Brothers to Green Day to a little bit of Bush. And, and for our band at the time, the Strat, we were heavily influenced with, Blink-182 and Green Day at the time, and they were using Strats at the time. So we only figured, hey, you know what? For this type of band, for this type of guitar, and also,
I'm going to be honest, I just got my guitar because I like the way it looked. I didn't do it just because they had it. I got my Strat because you introduced me to different guitar styles, and Strat was most notable, and the shape was something that attracted me to it. So obviously very influenced by your first guitars.
In back then too, I was heavily influenced with the the Strat as well, and my first name being Matt, rhyming with Strat, it was a whole
easy variation.
It was easy variation, kind of made match made in heaven. But this guitar, it's already 22 years. It's going on 23 years. It's got some history. It's got some blood. It's got some sweat. It's got some history, and just a little more detail with this guitar for those that aren't going to be able to view this. It's and just looking at my notes, so it's a maple neck, but with a rosewood fingerboard. The fret sizes are jumbo. They are dot inlays as well. Has a master control and whatnot. The hardware that it comes with comes detailed with the gold hardware as well. When you usually pick this up at the time, it didn't come with a hard case. It came with a gig bag. It was usually that black gig bag that had Fender on it as well. The finish has a gloss polyester to it. The neck shape, for those that are curious about neck shapes for Fender, they typically come in 2 variations, like a C profile and a D profile. This one came with the C profile, so it's a little more thinner, it's a little more rounder versus the D, where it's more flat on the neck profile. What else? The scale length, so it's 25 and a half, so it means it has about 25 frets to it. I'm sorry, number of frets has 21. I apologize. And the fingerboard radius is about 9.5 inches and whatnot. So for this type of guitar, it was and also comes with a tortoiseshell pickguard as well. So this guitar, it was I would definitely probably consider this being my first guitar, because it really kicked off a lot of great memories, a lot of shows that Ted and I played in bands with. A lot. It played this in in a previous episode that we were talking about as far as the talent show, where Kayla came in first place. We came second runners up. Yes,
I'll never let you forget that.
We're not going to let Kayla forget that and whatnot. Which is also the same night that we were like, all right, peace, and we had to play a basement show that same night as well.
That's right.
But you know, this guitar is definitely got some age to it. It's a good noiseless pickups as well. For the first time tonight, I actually switched out the strings and played for it right before we started the show. And if there's anything that's needed, you know, I think what I may do is, because this is all original, nothing's changed. So the pickups definitely have feel of wear and tear of it. So I might switch it out for some Texas specials. Throw those puppies in there because you know, I like that bluesy type of, you know, grunge feel to it.
Those are nice pickups.
Very, very, very much so. It's pricey too, but definitely worth it. But other than that, I mean, it was you know, now my typical go-to guitars is, you know, Epiphone Gibsons, you know, Paul Reed Smiths. But every once in a while, I'll bust this out, you know, just to, you know, get a different variation, different, you know, hand texture and different playability, and you know, and obviously, you know, I can't play it too much because, you know, the pickups are, you know, going a little bit, but you know, definitely great memories, you know, especially being in a band with Ted and which is, I think, a great window to switch over to Ted, and he could talk about his axe.
That's right. My very first guitar is a candy apple red Squier Stratocaster, purchased within a Strat Pack, bought at the Natick Guitar Center. And my sales guy, I still have his business card. His name is Carl Kornfeld? I don't know. It was spelled with a K because I like, you know, corn, and it was spelled that way. So it was easy to remember.
That's a great remembrance.
Anyway, so Red Strat came with the Strat Pack. You're just learning guitar. You don't want to spend a boatload of money on it. And it came with a little 15-watt amp or whatever that was, which I no longer have. But definitely learn guitar on this particular Strat, and the thin neck certainly makes it very easy to maneuver, far more comfortable in my opinion of a neck than my Les Paul. But either way, just depending on the sound, like Matt was mentioning before, and how much you want to beat your fingers up, really. But over the years, this guitar is had a few upgrades, because this was the guitar that we wound up playing gigs with and playing so much, and that when you're learning guitar and you're playing punk and things like that, you're constantly picking so quickly that you get a little careless, and then you start scratching things with the edge of the pick. And so I made some nice red lines in the pick guard, that this pick guard has been replaced. I've put red marks in some of the pickup covers. So 2 of these pickup covers are replaced to match the pure white of the pick guard now. The middle one is still original, but I have that third one floating around in my case somewhere. And when we talk about affordable guitars, and when you start to play as much as we did, the switch between the different pickups on the Strat was very cheap. Obviously, this is a Squier made in China in 2000. So, I mean, early that particular era, it's not an expensive guitar, but I wound up wearing the thing out. So in order to even get sound out of the bottom 2 pickups, I would actually have to like basically push down on that particular lever just to make the connection work, so I can get audio.
Of course.
It became such a pain that wound up just going to Guitar Center and getting an actual Fender switch and getting that soldered in. So this is, you know, true Fender hardware in plastic things added to it in order to keep it running. It still sounds great, still plays great, and as you can see from this video, it looks fantastic. I kept really good care of it over the years, and this being 21 years old, you know, definitely doesn't look like it. It looks
damn fine.
It looks like it could have been off the showroom from last year. But yeah, like to take good care of it. But as mentioned, this was made in 2000. I purchased this guitar in 2001, I believe. I think.
Yeah, it was about 2001.
About 2001. And when I started learning guitar on. So I don't have a ton of guitars, as it's already been noted. I'm more of a drummer these days, but this is still one that I have hanging on the wall, and will grab from time to time just to play a little something to keep that part of the brain dusted off, because it's not my formal instrument, but definitely can't get rid of this thing. It's fantastic, and
you
still sounds great.
Very, very much so.
So,
And what I love about that red Strat is it's got the 70 style profile headstock and the fat headstock. I remember when you bought that, I had like this little jealous moment where I was like, damn, that's a really cool looking headstock. So I remember going to my dad and be like, hey Dad, Ted's, look at the Strat, Ted just got this, and he goes, oh yeah, it's the 70s headstock profile. I was like, shit, I want one of those. So, and I remember literally looking and going, okay, I think I might get a blue version with that, just purposely for the headstock, and then I ended up getting sidetracked. But that's one thing I'll always keep a memory of while playing.
That's funny.
That the red Strat is I think it's amazing, and especially with that headstock, I've always loved the fat headed headstock, and now that the fat head's headstock is also making its ways back into guitars nowadays, typically with Telecasters. So if you see Teles out there and whatnot, you'll notice that Telecasters more have their own signature type of headstock, but now they're introducing the 70s Strat fat style headstock for specific versions of Telecasters.
Interesting. Well, and I suppose when you're talking about you wanting to get a blue guitar, I chose red because Kayla had blue guitars. You had a black Strat at the time, and then you got the honey Strat that you have, and I'm like, black. Everyone has black. Everyone has blue. Like I need something that stands out.
And you got red.
And I got red.
Nothing wrong with that.
And what's funny though is that my dream guitar is Lake Placid blue. So I'll get it eventually, but yeah, another Fender Strat, but I don't play it enough to warrant buying a brand new Strat, but I'd keep this one too. This is not going anywhere.
Oh yeah, you gotta. That's history right there.
I know.
Over 20 years right there.
That's right.
I feel like there's a nostalgia value with it too. Like,
yeah, your first guitar. Yeah, you kind of. I mean, especially when you have so many good memories tied to it, like you don't want to get rid of something like that, and especially when it's still usable. Or, I mean, I get it if it's like my first bass guitar was $100, and it was a knockoff, had a replacement neck on it, and it was P bass looking but not real, and I wound up selling that on Craigslist and got an Ibanez 5-string just to upgrade. But at the same time, it's not my first guitar. It's only $100.
yeah.
I mean, we played shows with this. We did all the jam practices and other things. The talent show that we got second place on that Kayla won.
Got first.
I mean, there's a lot of memories tied to this. I can't get this up.
God. For what it's worth, I still have the Ibanez from the talent show that I won first place on. So
it's good.
You also have the bass that has the internal cable.
Yes. We didn't actually show that in an episode though, so that's going to be a mystery conversation to people. Yeah. It may be a bonus episode at one point, but for those who are listening, we did. Actually, I think it was our shady manufacturing practices episode. Ted, after we were done the show, Ted broke out his 5-string bass, and I said, "Oh, that's interesting. I acquired a bass that looks like it's almost the same exact model." So I went and dug it out of my closet, and
it was. It's an Ibanez.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
the Sound Gear 5-string.
this thing is not playable for a variety of reasons. Most
It's not playable
notably,
just in general now.
yeah, it's so somebody pulled out the jack and soldered in a permanent cable into the electronics
itself.
of the bass, and so now, like, if the cable, I mean, if anybody out there, if you play guitar, you know how easily a cable can crap out and you have to grab another one. So why somebody would have thought it would have been a smart idea to permanently affix a cable into the instrument is beyond me. That was the first, like, that was the main issue I had with it. And now, mind you, this was given to me and I knew, like, nothing about it, had never taken it really out of the case. It's been sitting in my closet for years. So I knew about the cable, and I remember looking at that and being like, what? And then basically putting it back and not doing anything with it.
It's got a 6-foot tail on it.
It's probably longer than 6 feet. I think that's
8 foot.
probably a 20-foot cable on that thing. I mean, at least they were smart enough to solder in one that was long enough to reach a good distance and
Still
not
left the
like...
umbilical cord on it.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's still, I won't even leave. I'll leave that one alone.
Even worse than the permanently affixed cable was the fact that we realized as I was looking at it that, first of all, whoever had it had put way too much tension on the strings, so the heaviest string had to have been way over tightened, and the neck is actually cracking. The headstock is cracking at the top where it meets the neck, and I don't think it's fixable. And so this bass is basically just a decoration at this point because
just bury it.
Play taps in the backyard and just bury the thing.
Could you imagine that out there with my guitar and my amp and a big hole
Give it a
dug
good
and...
send off. A little the Dan
shoot.
Electro send off.
Oh my God.
For listeners out there that, you know, it's okay if you don't want to come public, but if you feel like you want to reach out to us and say, I'm the person that installed a 20-foot cable,
Hardwired it into the bass.
permanently, I mean,
Yeah.
I want you on the show. Just,
I mean,
Can we talk about where that
can
came
we just
from?
talk about it? Will be a gear talk.
Yeah, we'll
it
unpack
wasn't even
that.
like there was a retractable cable that it would coil back. I mean, if it were like a vacuum where you could pull the cable and it would go back into the body of the guitar and it would be easy to put in the case, that
like
might
an
have been
iron.
cool. I might have been like, hey, this is ingenious. Somebody permanently installed a cable that retracts into the body of the bass, and you don't even have to deal with bringing a bunch of cables and hooking them up. It's just there. You just plug in, you're good to go. But the fact of the matter is, that's not how that works. It's just like hanging out of the bottom of the bass. Oh, and I think there was a massive gash in the bottom too, because it looked like they had taken the strap lock and moved it over like a half an inch from where it originally was for no apparent reason. So there was a giant hole where it used to be, and it was like all chipped in.
It's a
this thing's been
Frankenstein
through the
bass.
ringer. It's not, well, yeah, I mean, it's mostly original, other than people.
That's not
The
move
way you're
stuff.
describing
Like,
it's become a monster.
yeah, well, it's not playable by any means. It's I'm gonna make it into a lamp. That's pretty much the only thing I can do with it.
It's a
at this
guitar
point.
bundle that you get at Guitar Center. It's a guitar with a 20-foot cable.
The cable.
Like $100.
Everything but the amp.
That's right.
Everything but the amp.
Everything but the amp and a cracked headstock. So it's like a Chipson ad, really. Like, it really should be a Chipson ad with that cable built right into it. Like, save yourself the time. Cable built right in. I can just picture the ad now. So yeah. Anyway. there's we may post it at some point, but there is bonus footage from when we wrapped up that show, and I went and got this bass out of the closet behind me and dug it out and had to go find things to pry open the back plate
Because
to
it was
be
like
able to
glued
figure.
shut.
Yeah, for some reason
It wasn't
I
even
don't know
screwed
why.
shut. It was glued shut.
Well, it was screwed too, but I took out the screws and that sucker wasn't budging. So, yeah, there's 25 minutes worth of video of me like cracking this thing open to see what's going on.
Oh, no. Anyway, so Fresh
that's
Guitars.
another gear talk.
I know. First Guitars. I think we've covered it.
I think we have.
Short and sweet for these gear talks, but hope everyone enjoyed the episode. And Kayla, take us out with all your normal speech because I don't have it written down. And
alrighty,
do it up.
And you're good at it.
All right, you got it. So if anybody has a music-related topic they'd like us to talk about, or maybe you'd like to come on a show and be a guest, feel free to reach out to us. There's a few ways you can do that.
We're talking to you, solder guy.
Yeah, solder.
That's right.
Yeah.
We want to know, where did you come up with that brilliant
Sergeant
idea?
Solder.
Sergeant Solder.
Base Starter. That's Sergeant Base Solder to you.
I love that, Sergeant Solder. I'm gonna have to keep that in mind. That's relevant in so many aspects of my life you don't even know. Oh God. So yeah, Sergeant Solder, if you're listening, we want to know what the thought process was behind that idea. So. We lost Matt. Oh my God.
Sergeant Solder and his 20-foot whip. Okay, we're good.
Jesus. Oh God.
Oh, we lost Ted.
We lost Ted. I wonder if his router restarted.
I wonder if Sergeant Solder got to him. Anyways.
Oh, shoot. All right. So
thanks, guys. Yeah, bring us home.
Don't know if Ted will be back before we wrap up the show here, but anyway, so a couple ways you can reach us if you want to be on the show or have a suggestion for a future topic. You can leave us a voicemail on our Anchor page at anchor.fm/distortedopinions. While you're there, you can also find links to all of our social media accounts, as well as a partial list of where you can find us on a variety of different podcast platforms. If you don't see your favorite platform listed, just do a search, and I'm sure you'll find us if you look up Distorted Opinions. The other way you can reach us is via email at distortedopinionshow@gmail.com. We are pretty responsive on any of the platforms, so feel free to reach out to us whatever way you so choose. And it looks like Ted has made it back in.
Yep,
Welcome
internet
back.
problem. Hey, thanks.
Just in time.
Just in time.
So with that, thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Woo! Sergeant Solder.